2025 boom locations. If you want to know what are maybe the top 5 boom locations for 2025, make sure you stick around because we're going to go through it in this video. Guys, my name's Julian. I'm the head of strategy here at Ripehouse, and in today's video, just like we did the year prior, we're going to go and divulge 5 boom locations for the next year. Now, in this video, it won't necessarily be areas that we are investing in terms of an advisory level, but it is going to give you, I guess, some guidance in terms of where some locations are sitting on the R score, and I guess some of the things that may or may not be driving those locations to consider as well. So why don't we get into it? If you're new here to the channel though, if you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe and smash that like button. On this channel, we talk about property investing and investment related finance education. If you would like, click on the link below as well. There'll be a way to speak to me or the team as well if you have any property related questions. But let's get into location number 1 for today. So the first one, we're going to go out into regional South Australia, so Mount Gambier. So for Mount Gambier, that area is currently sitting around 80% on the R score, which is, you know, the top 20%. And there's a few things to be considered here. We have done, Jacob's done a bit of a deep dive into Mount Gambier around about 12 plus months ago. So if you'd like, you'll be able to go back and have a look at that one. But that is still somewhat of an emerging market. There's some strong rental yield being driven in that area, and rental yields and tightening of vacancy rates can typically be seen as an indicator to drive growth. That area itself is a bit of a wider price range, around that $450,000 to $600,000 price point. One of the things that I guess has always made us kind of a little bit iffy about investing in Mount Gambier though is the population of Mount Gambier. So as a business, we typically will only invest in locations at 25,000 or more from an LGA level, so that they're right on the mark. And it's more about tracking the population growth of Mount Gambier. Now, feel free to just dive into the numbers. Population growth may have slightly dipped last year, but we are still seeing, you know, strong median household income growth. Some other things of interest to us. It is a diverse economy out in Mount Gambier, driven by trades, healthcare, education. They've got some good projects going on, from road upgrades, health services developments, a lot of renewable energy initiatives going out there as well. And another good thing, which is always good to see in terms of a driver as well, is community engagement and development as well, because it's those community projects that draw people into those locations, right? They want to live near those amenities or facilities, drawing people in. So Mount Gambier sitting at 80 is a watch for 2025. That's the first one out of the way. And so we're starting in South Australia. We're going to cross the border now to my not only my home state, this is my former hometown. So I spent a good 25 years of my life here, so I know this area quite intimately. So we're in the city of Wyndham in Victoria. That's out in Melbourne's west. And I guess just to preface with that one, it is quite a large catchment area in terms of big population, big land area as well. There are some things you do need to be very careful of when investing in the area of Wyndham. There are quite a lot of new developments that are happening around those areas. So you really need to make sure you are avoiding that potential supply throttle risk. Now, some of the more established areas that are well away, closer to amenities, they may present in terms of a good investment opportunity, particularly if you're seeing, you know, a disparity between that established price point and the new home builds. If there's some good gaps there, you know, that new supply isn't as much of a risk as you may think it might be. Now, that one's sitting there. There's quite a few suburbs in the Wyndham LGA, between 81 to 90%. Rental yields are sitting around 4 to 4.8%. And the price range again is quite diverse. It's between 550 to 850,000. Now, again, the thing that we really like about the city of Wyndham, very, very diverse economy. There's multiple job sectors. You're not really having to worry about this one being tied to 1 or 2 industries. It's a very, very, as you would expect, you know, for a metro location. There's an immense amount of project spend going into networking in terms of public transport, road upgrades. You know, it's a booming area for population growth. People are either working from home or commuting from the city, so we want to make sure that that infrastructure is going on. And there's also local initiative projects from a community level as well. So looking very, very strong, sitting around that kind of top 10% range from the R-score level. So it's a big tick for the city of Wyndham, and we can kind of see, good to see Victoria represented in this year. Now we're going to go into another state, going all the way back over to the west to the LGA of Swan in Western Australia. And, Western Australia has seen some really strong growth in previous years, but prior growth isn't always indicative of future growth. So we still see that, and it's sitting quite strongly as well on the R-score in that 83 to 93% range. And again, there's very strong population growth happening in Perth as a whole. There's strong community projects. There's still rental vacancy rate and price pressure happening in that pocket of Swan in WA. But what you are going to see in those areas, you're not going to be seeing those high fives touching 6% rental yields in the Western Australian market really much anymore. So they're going to be between about 4.5 to 5.2%. The price range is still pushing strongly, 650 to 850 range. That would be an area of interest for us in the WA market. And it's just something to keep an eye on. Strong projects coming through as well from the community front, particularly around that Ellenbrook kind of area as well. So that's a tick for the LGA of Swan for 2025. Fourth location, we're going into another state now. We're going into Moreton Bay in Queensland. So that's to the northeast of Brisbane, or north, whichever way you want to kind of splice it up. So a larger area as well along the coast, and it comes a little bit inward as well. Scoring around that 80 to 90 range on the R-score again, so sitting quite strongly. There is heavy population growth. There's still tightening of vacancy rates. Kind of similar though to the area of Wyndham, we do want to keep an eye on new supply. Particularly there's some high density coming around that Deception Bay area, up and around, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, Kalangula or whatever it may be called. There's quite a lot of new home builds going in and around there as well. So you do need to navigate that space. And like many areas of Brisbane, you've either got flood overlays or bushfire overlays you need to navigate as well. So you need to keep an eye out on that. But that's, the rental yields in the Brisbane market are also feeling that compression as well, right? You've seen the rental yield growth or not rental yield, I should say, rental price growth in Queensland's been around that kind of 5 to 10%, but the market's gone at about 10 to 20%. So yield is compressing in Queensland. It's just more about a supply issue. And 4 to 4.5% from a rental yield. The price range is going to be 7 to 950. Population growth is strong. Lots of spend happening in Queensland as a general. That state is just getting a heap of money flooded into it in terms of infrastructure spend, particularly all along that coastline from Sunshine Coast down to Gold Coast. So ticking all the boxes there. The R-score's in that 80 to 90% range. So that's a tick, and you've got a location there for the Queensland market. And then we're going to go into lucky last, number 5, more of a higher price point, just like we did last year for the Blacktown area in Sydney. We're going back over to Victoria. Good to see Victoria represented twice in this year's top 5. And we're in the area of Manuel in Victoria. So that's more towards the northeast of Victoria. And it is a bit more expensive. Larger plots of land, a little bit further out, still a metro location. But your price range in that area is going to be, touching the $1 million plus range, in that $900 to $1.5 million area. And as a result, you are going to see lower yields. So 2.5 to 3.8%. The R-score is sitting, hovering around on that side of around that 80%, so in that top 20% of the area. There's really high socioeconomics. There's a lot of owner-occupiers in that area as well, so very good stability in terms of the market, and the stock going out will typically be a little bit stronger from those areas that maybe have more rental stock coming through. Vacancy rates across Victoria as a whole are just keep tightening, and there is still that rental growth coming through. They've got excellent proximity to utilities and amenities, as you would expect being in a metro location, but particularly in Victoria. A lot of higher income earners through that area as well. So, if you've got higher income, that's a good indicator in terms of they've potentially got money to spend from the buying side, but also from the rental side. And there's strong demand for houses. So this is what we want to see. And that's a good reflection of why there's so many owner occupiers living in that area. So just like last year, I hope you guys got a little bit of value out of those locations. Would love to know your thoughts. So if you're following along, make sure you drop a comment, let you know where your location is for 2025. If you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. If you'd like to have a chat with myself or the team, click the link below or hit the pause button and you can scan the QR code, and looking forward to speaking to you guys on the next video. Bye for now.